When it comes to 1980s American men's tennis, John McEnroe embodied it. He was American tennis in the 1980s, for all the good and especially all the bad that it entailed. The good was the 1980 Wimbledon final against Bjorn Borg. A lot of people consider that to be the greatest final in Wimbledon history, and I can't argue with that to this day. It was massive. McEnroe and him and Bjorn just going back and forth, and McEnroe's giant bird's nest of hair, all that. He was great when it came to grass and the hard court surfaces, and he was great the whole way. The problem was he had a temper, and I think you could put together a 24-hour running YouTube video of all the times he had arguments with the line judges and refs. But with the good and the bad, the publicity he brought to the sport was, I think, overall good. And I think it was good for a while, and it really helped expand the sport of tennis. Jimmy Connors was a tennis player, not just for the 80s, I think, but for the ages. I mean, he had a lot of success in the 70s from being successful in Wimbledon and butting heads with Arthur Ashe about the politics of tennis, and obviously winning. And that kept going all through the 80s, and he was good in whatever he did. He was my personal favorite tennis player, and I wish I could have mimicked his double-handed left-handed backhand style. It was beautiful. Problem is, he was a bit of a jerk. I mean, not quite to the level of McEnroe, but he was. But I think amongst the greats of tennis, I can't think of another tennis player that had the great longevity that Jimmy Connors did. I mean, he went on into the 90s, and I think his best moment, although this is an 80s show, was the 1991 U.S. Open when he made it all the way to semifinals, like 41 years old. And he's a great for all time, especially the 80s. Andre Agassi was kind of the tail end of the style and the substance of tennis of the 80s. Unfortunately, when it came to tennis in the 80s, he was more style. He got big promotions, and back then he had long hair, and he would flaunt it. And he would wear unusual fashion. I mean, nothing terribly offensive. But I think he was the big hype. But he wasn't able to live up to that hype until the 90s. But the late 80s, he really helped promote tennis by like image is everything. And then when it came to the 80s, Andre Agassi was all image, not quite the playing level. That would come later.